what I've got to do now is to start thinking, well, what's important about that design brief? What are the important bits? Well, Boots the Chemist, I think, is pretty important because they're my client. As a designer, that's who I'm designing for. That's who's going to pay me. Pharmaceutical products. Well, that's what the product is all about, so we need to underline that. Sold across Europe. Now, that's going to present a lot of problems in terms of language and communication. Now, instructions and confusing. Now, we could almost link those together. We could link it with Europe as well. All I've done there is to highlight what I think are the most important things. So what I have to do now is to pick out those key phrases and to try to give it a structure. So, Boots the Chemist. Leave pharmaceutical products for a minute. Children are key, really key. However, I've still got an issue about children because although it says pharmaceutical products are aimed at children, I've got to think about who's buying this, and it's often not the children, it's the parents. So I might just put parents in brackets there. The main thing I'm going to be doing though is producing prototype packaging system. So packaging system, and if I look at that, those columns fit quite nicely into words that I've used before when I've been unpicking design briefs. They would be the client, the user, the product. What do I need to think about for the product? I need to think about how the medicine is going to be accessed. I need to think about the materials we're going to use. I need to think about the manufacture. And I might just look at, or just mention CAD/CAM there. I need to think about the graphics. That's going to be appealing or not. That leads me on to thinking about printing. That leads me on to thinking about colour, thinking about whether it needs to be bright to attract the children or whether it wants to be a little bit more subtle to attract the parents. How many colours? That might affect my decision to do with Boots because of the cost factor. Now, a number of those things are actually linking, and we've actually got some of the same words. So let's think. Reassurance, we're saying, is what I feel when I go into Boots, and it's also something I need to make sure parents feel when they buy the product. Access to the contents in terms of safety issues for the children, but also in terms of the packaging, how I design it. Big company, mass produced, I've already linked there. Now that might have an effect on manufacture. That in turn will have an effect on the printing. Value for money will have a link down to how many colours we're going to use because that's going to affect the cost. These are the things I'm going to have to think about when I start designing. Okay, it's now your turn. I'm going to give you a design brief and I want you to be able to unpick it in the same way as I've done. Okay, now I've been talking for a while, so I'm going to recap over what I have actually done. Number one, highlight keywords. Next thing I did was to give myself some sort of structure. Now from having that structure, picked out the keywords, put them into the structure, the next thing I did was to see what those words triggered off. And those words in green on the board were my needs and wants, what you would commonly call your considerations. And finally, I then highlighted those links. You ready to have a go?
We need to highlight, main parts.
Sensations. And then we got lighting, heat sensitive text.
Main.
And then fabrics,
fabrics, yeah, because that's like products into what it's going to be like, what it's made of. So we need
domestic market.
Domestic market.
And then we
clients and stuff, innit?
child safety.
Child safety, which is the users, isn't it?
As it's focused at children, it's got to have some novelty value.
Yeah, like images, like for make it look good.
Yeah, and if it's a fabric, it's probably going to be clothes. So you've got to work out what aspect of child safety you want to look at. Because you could if it's a light and heat sensitive, you could use it for like filtering out harmful sun rays and that kind of thing.
So does it have to be clothes or?
I don't suppose it has to be. I mean, if it's for travelling, you could like use it to shield the car windows so they can't get sunburnt in the car.
What travel are you going to be using? Because you can have like car travel, can't you?
And walking.
And walking.
Biking.
And biking. Doing that, you want to go to if they're going to be like outside or inside.
They are going to be outside
So
because it's travelling.
Well, if they're inside a car, they're going to be inside, and if they're outside biking, it wants to be waterproof and everything, won't it?
Good link value.
So we need value for money to
Cost,
cost.
obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
And then reassurance and safety.
Yeah, safety
So
to
parents know
reassurance.
it's safe.
Yeah,
And logo and aesthetics will be the same, won't it?
yeah, so plastic. And then, on the other side, safety.
See, aesthetics and novelty.
Yeah,
Good link.
link to the other side as well.
Do you think the cost and the safety have an impact on each other? Because if it's dead safe but it's too expensive,
People
you
might
can't
want to buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and they could have a cheap one, but isn't very safe.
So it's kind of you need
The
to
link.
compromise it.
A lot of them seem to be linking towards child safety and the cost. It might be the main point that we should look at.
Actually, got a lot of things to do with age. Safety's got to go with it, obviously. Small children, they want more safety on them. Activity as well, because the older they get, the more activities they'll be doing. It's like, we won't have little children doing a lot more activities, they'll need more stuff, really.
Seasons have to go with safety because in the different weather.
Okay.
Fantastic discussions there, some really good interactions. But remember what we're trying to do. We're trying to unpick a design brief. So I'm going to ask you now, we're going to go around, see how you've done that. Now I want you to talk about how you've done that to the rest of the group. So this group here, lots of arrows, lots of discussions going on. Tell us about what your thinking was behind all this.
First we listed all the keywords, and then we highlighted the links between them. But then we thought that there might be restrictions like value for money and safety and aesthetics and things like that.
Why? What do you
So-
mean by restrictions?
If it's like the materials, if it's made out of silk, it's going to be more dear than if it's made out of nylon or cotton or something like that.
Okay, so what does that affect?
The cost.
Okay, good. Let's get on to another group. Now, you've started to use words to describe your links. Why did you start to do that?
Because we decided to use 4 different bubble charts almost. There was some that linked up between them, but they weren't perfect links like the ones you had on the board. And we just wanted to explain why we'd link them together.
Super, yeah.
So the one and the client, because it's a manufacturer, not a retailer. We also put down that we needed a retailer so the parents could have easy access to the product.
Yeah, and we specialise in travel as well, so it's it has to be light and compact. So it's got to be able to get on the plane or bus or wherever you're going.
Okay, so we're starting to talk about things like must. Now, after you've done your research, the next stage in your process will be your design specification. Yeah? And remember, those are talking about things that the product must have or are desirable. Things like, for example, Helen, you've written down here, must attract children. Hard wearing for travel. So we're starting to think now, not only about the design, but thinking about different stages. And this process should start to illustrate in your minds about each aspect of the design process being really closely linked. They're all interlinked, and it's all about that thinking.